Hey, it's Tree, and I'm back for another video. So this day I am working on pages 12 through 13, trying to get the line art done. At this stage I was kind of doing more than 2 pages, because my normal rate I would do 2 pages a day, but yeah, I did 3 this day. And then at the end, it's another drawing that I posted to social media because I thought I should post more on our social media, but I quickly abandoned that and forgot to post on social media lately. But you can read Wakefield on Webtoons and Tapas if you're new here, and you can read from the beginning to whatever current page I'm posting. I post them every Friday. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about my first college semester and why it was so terrible. So I've talked about this a little bit in other videos, but basically my senior year of college, my senior year of high school, I left a relationship where neither party was really good for each other, and a friend group that we both mutually had that kind of ended up exploding on itself. So going into my first semester of college, that's when stuff started going down with that. Basically, it was kind of a combination of that on top of some other issues with myself that was going on at that period. But I guess the biggest topic is that after the friendship ended and that relationship ended first, my ex kind of went back to those friends because they were closer to them than me, and I guess they all just kind of had bitter feelings about the way things ended. I don't know. But they would make posts making fun of me on YouTube and stuff, and I was never one to handle things like that well back then, which, thinking back on it, the stuff they do was kind of ridiculous and not worthy of being upset over. It was just very petty. And I guess some of the reason I haven't talked about it until now is because I was kind of worried about those people coming back into my life again. I don't know what my ex's friendships they're like anymore. I still follow them on social media now, but we're kind of on good terms now. So I don't really know how involved or not they were with this. And I mean, I wasn't a good person either, and at that time period I was kind of petty myself. But it kind of did leave me to be a bit self-conscious about talking in videos for the longest time. And I'm only just now getting back into that more, because at the end of the day I really shouldn't be afraid of speaking my mind, because I have a voice and I should probably use it more often, even though in like real life I just don't talk that much. But yeah, I shouldn't be afraid to talk and speak my mind, and I need to realize that more often. But yeah, that's a me issue. But at that time period, I was very anxious and depressed because that relationship ended and those friendships were ended. And I went into college basically having no friends. I mean, I kind of left high school with a couple friends. I mean, I was never popular in high school. I mean, when you're a quiet kid, not many people talk to you, and they just kind of assume you're a bitch. I don't know. But I've also been told over the years that I have a resting bitch face, so I don't really blame people for not talking to me if I wasn't willing to put in the effort to talk to them, kind of things. But it was kind of a shock going from high school, having a couple of good friends, and then going to college, and then just because of the way my class schedules worked out, the people that I were friends with in high school, they had different schedules and they were in different majors, so I never got to see them anymore. And that kind of made my depression spiral even more out of control. I would have very good days where I would go to school and go to my classes, and then I'd have bad days where I would still go to school, but I very quickly realized that I didn't have to really go to classes. I could just skip if I wanted to, and I kind of became over-reliant on that. If I was feeling depressed or anxious, I just wouldn't go to class. On top of all of those feelings, I started skipping my math class a lot. In particular, I've never been very good at math. I mean, at some points I probably consider myself good at math, but I'm really not that good at math, and I really struggled, and because I was struggling, I didn't want to go to class. And I also was taking an English class, and she would tell us to write essays, and I just had a lot of complex feelings about writing essays because of my AP English experience. On top of the fact that, like, she wanted us to talk about something personal that happened that changed our lives, and I wasn't really ready to talk about how my brother had passed away from cancer, because that was the only thing I could think of that happened that changed my life at that time. I mean, there's various other things I could have talked about in hindsight. I just wasn't ready to talk about them. And so I wouldn't turn in English assignments either. So one of the things that happened before I even started going to college was that my older sibling, Sunny, they went to college, and because they weren't successful and they were feeling overwhelmed, my mom decided that I should only take 2 classes that semester. So by the end of that semester, I'd failed both of those classes, and I wasn't allowed to go to college anymore because they thought it was a waste of money if I wasn't passing my classes. And I mean, fair enough. I guess they could kind of see that I didn't want to be in college yet. And I don't know, I was just processing going from one place to the next, and at the same time I was sitting there realizing, like, did I really want to go to college for another 2 or 4 years? Probably not. And then things changed. They always do, and I ended up going back to college. But for a while, I just wasn't still good with my mental health. I tried getting a job, and I only had that job for 3 days because my anxiety was so bad that I couldn't handle when I made mistakes that, like, my other coworkers would blame me. Rightfully blame me. But I was brand new and I was still being trained, and they just kind of let me loose those last 2 days, and I just wasn't ready to be let loose yet. But yeah, I'd make a mistake and I'd take it very personally. And when you have anxiety and depression, it kind of amplifies on top of that, and you're always blaming yourself, and you don't think you're good enough. So when I was getting criticized for these mistakes I was making, I'd be thinking about those mistakes days later, and even when I was not on that job anymore, I was thinking about them still. And I guess I can think back of it on a clearer head, but back then I was really blaming myself and feeling bad about myself. On top of all of these issues, when I was in college, I started gaining weight a little bit. It's just kind of what happens when you have PCOS like I do. And I was kind of diagnosed with that my AP English times. But those problems never really went away if you know anything about PCOS. But I started gaining weight and I couldn't recognize myself in the mirror anymore. I don't really know if this is a side effect of the anxiety or the depression, but I started experiencing depersonalization a lot more. I would look at myself in the mirror and not really recognize myself. So, and I would go days like kind of in a fog. I would be watching myself do things. But yeah, that's basically everything that surrounded my first college semester. A lot of mental health problems, but of course, I'm still dealing with some of that today, but I feel like I'm at a better place now, so it's not all doom and gloom. But I felt like it'd be good to explain this because if you're having a terrible time in college because of stuff like I dealt with, just know you're not alone. And yeah, if you want to watch more of my videos, subscribe, and I will see you next time. I'm kind of compiling some more footage for uploads, so that's why there's not 2 uploads this week. And there might not be 2 uploads next week either. I'm just kind of going through and doing it by week. Like I upload like you get it. I'm just compiling footage. But yeah, I will see you next time.